Seventh episode opens with a sleeping lark as Rose Mayfair sits astride him. Two women stand behind her, lighting candles. One of them hands Rose a hook with a thread attached to it. Uh-oh. Are they going to remove his face like they did Albrecht? Meanwhile, Rowan roams the tunnels underneath the Mayfair house. Elsewhere, Ian drives Cortland to the rental car. On the way there, they chat about what's on the family calendar. Well, the first day is Michaelmas. The second day is the wedding between Lasher, aka Ashlar, and Emilith. Then, on the third day at high noon is the feast. Ian pivots, asking Cortland if he recalls crashing Julian's car. And poor Angus Murray. They reminisce about this. However, Ian subsequently calls Cortland out for lying. There was never a car crash. Angus Murray doesn't exist. Cortland admits Julian erased all his memories about Scotland and Ian. Those memories are returning, albeit slowly. Cortland asks what Lasher's wedding will mean for Ian and his family. Ian uses telekinesis to lift a set of keys through the air. He reveals they have powers, but Lasher's union with Emilith will enhance them tremendously. At the same time, Abel shows Lasher around a small church where the latter was a priest. He was quite loved in the community. Lasher also learns his blood can make things grow. Just a drop makes a tree spring forth right at the altar. Before that, though, Lasher demands to know what the Mayfairs want with him. Abel insists they only desire his happiness. Lasher is incredulous. Abel admits this is a lie. Ian's tasked Abel with ensuring Lasher attends his own wedding. If Abel fails, well, Ian is a violent man. Abel explains that the Taltos, Lasher, and Emilith will restore the glen to its former glory. Kilbride will be teeming with life. Meanwhile, Ian adds that Lasher won't just give the Scottish Mayfairs the ability to perform little tricks. He'll also give them access to, as Ian puts it, real magic. Cortland insists he has his own thing going with Lasher. He'll be fine. Ian asserts it's time for the American Mayfairs to pack their bags once he fixes the rental car. Later, Rowan's phone dies while in the tunnels. Thankfully, her magical abilities are heightened thanks to Lasher's proximity. She materializes fire in the palm of her hand, using that to light her path. Her instincts lead her to a door. After yanking it open, though, she doesn't find Lasher, but Amintha and Bonnie on the other side. Bonnie hands Rowan a vial of Lasher's blood. Amintha insists it's time for Rowan to go. She now has what she came for. Rowan asks about Moira. Amintha reassures Rowan that Moira will meet her, Lark and Cortland outside town. Despite having crossed an ocean for Lasher's blood, Rowan refuses to accept the vial. She returns it to Bonnie. Rowan will reunite with Lasher, but first she demands to see Moira. She also asks Amintha about Julian's plan. However, Amintha never met him. Speaking of Moira, we see her sitting in a dimly lit room, looking bored out of her skull, while Fiona Mayfair plays with a knife. The door flings open to reveal Rowan. She and Moira embrace. Moira reveals she can't get close to Amintha to get a read on her. She does know Lasher was fine until yesterday. Oh, and the Scottish Mayfairs killed Albrecht. Moira also has a bad feeling about the wedding. Rowan admits Amintha tried to give her a vial of Lasher's blood, but she didn't take it. Naturally, Moira is bewildered. Her sister, Daphne, and Jojo are still stuck in the thrall. They need Lasher's blood to free them. Rowan is hell-bent on uncovering Julian's plan and reuniting with Lasher. Moira calls Rowan out for her selfishness. Her, let's face it, hubris. Rowan insists Julian doesn't want to protect this family, so it's up to her. Then, Rowan orders Moira to stay put. She'll come back for Moira after she finds Lasher. Next, Rowan uses her powers to intimidate and threaten Amintha into telling her where Lasher is. Well, that's one way to get what you want. Elsewhere in Amsterdam, Cyprian tells Polina that he was up all night reading Daniel Malloy's book. He and Polina discuss the best way to handle it. Cip insists they, as the Talamasca, deny Malloy's book is factual. Instead, they discredit it and claim it's fiction. Annemieke compliments Cip, asserting this insight will serve him well in his new role as the head of the New Orleans division. Annemieke upheld her end of the bargain, so now she's asking Cip to lend a hand. She shows him the preserved body of a Taltos. They believe this specimen died around 1550. Annemieke wants Cip to touch the body to access his memories. Perhaps this will give them context regarding Albrecht's plan. Cip recognizes this specimen as Lasher. Annemiek reveals that they've long theorized that the Taltos could be reborn. Sip realizes that if this body died around 1550, this was before Lasher was a spirit and before Suzanne Mayfair called him down. Sip removes his glove and braces himself for what he's about to witness. Later, Rowan finally reunites with Lasher. It's the mother-son reunion of the century. Lasher remembers everything now, who he is and his purpose. He's excited to marry Emilith. Rowan refuses to listen to this. She insists they must leave now. But we can't yet, Mom. It's flashback time. Sip sees this too as he touches Lasher's corpse. Lasher tells Rowan he was born hundreds of years ago. His mother, a beloved queen, had yet to give the king a son. My guess? Mother. Catherine of Aragon, wife of Henry VIII. Anyway, this queen gave birth to Lasher. However, she insisted the king couldn't see him. She ordered her ladies to tell His Majesty it was stillborn. One of her ladies took Lasher to the laird, his biological father. So, the queen had an affair. The laird sees Lasher growing as quickly as he did at the beginning of the season. He knows his son isn't a demon, though, but a Taltos, the first to come in a century. Next, the laird and Lasher made the trek to Scotland. Along the way, the laird taught Lasher, who's now an adolescent, everything he needed to know about his people. Unfortunately, the king razed their village to the ground. Revenge for Lasher's birth. When Lasher was older, he became a priest. That's when he first laid eyes on Emilith. In the present, Lasher insists his place is at Emilith's side. He calls out Rowan for only keeping him close because of his immense power. She enjoys what he gives her. Still, Lasher wants Rowan to attend his nuptials. She can be there to give her son away. Meanwhile, Sip informs Annemiek and Polina that the Taltos are healers. They boast restorative abilities. That means Lasher is a force for good. Annemiek tells him that they recovered the body from a peat bog in Kilbride, Scotland. Sip believes this location is crucial to Albrecht's plan. After this, Rowan calls Cortland. She tells him that they're staying for the wedding. However, she wants Cortland to dig into Ian for more info. He's hiding something big. Once he's off the phone, Cortland seeks out his brother, who sounds like he's in his cups. Ian reveals why he's angry. Julian wants to become corporeal again. How? By taking Hamish's body. This would trap Hamish's spirit inside the Victrola. Cortland vows to accompany Ian inside the Victrola to confront their father. Hamish will act as their rope. Once inside the Victrola, the brothers reunite with Julian. Here, Ian and Julian join forces to betray Cortland. As it turns out, Julian wants to inhabit Cortland, not Hamish. So Ian calls on Hamish to get him and Julian out of the Victrola, leaving Cortland stranded. Elsewhere, Lark wakes in bed after Rose's weird nighttime spell. He still has his face, so that's a good sign. However, he can't reach Rowan. Then, he's informed that he's staying for the ceremony. He even has a snazzy outfit to wear. Meanwhile, Amintha brings Rowan a dress for the wedding while she prays. She ruminates on Lasher's words about her own selfishness. She loves how powerful she feels around him. Then we see Cortland, now inhabited by Julian, as he helps Ian get ready for the nuptials. Julian claims that while Hamish is younger and stronger, Cortland is immortal. He'll have this body forever. Ian wonders if he should kill Rowan. Julian orders his son to steady his hand. Well, at least until the harvest is over. If they upset Lasher, he might not go through with the wedding or what comes after. Later, Rowan arrives at the outdoor ceremony. She finds a spot by Julian. Of course, she only sees Cortland. Rowan asks Julian about, Julian's plan. Julian claims it's just about getting Lasher and Emilith to tie the knot. Rowan doesn't buy it. She pivots, inquiring about Lark's whereabouts. Julian assumes he's coming. Sure enough, they spot Lark with Hamish. However, Hamish bars Lark from sitting with Rowan. The groom is arriving. Looking like they've been plucked straight from Midsummer, Lasher and Emilith stand on opposite sides of the altar, each restrained by ropes. A priest, Father Callum, arrives to commence the proceedings. Sip and Polina arrive in Scotland. They stand before the peat bog in Kilbride. Sip reveals Lasher died elsewhere, and his body was brought to this bog. Polina asks how Lasher died. Sip informs her that this place doesn't know, but the body's last memory was looking skyward in the woods. A constable approaches them to tell them they're trespassing. Polina starts speaking Dutch, while Sip pretends he's a non-English speaking tourist. They pose as a couple. The constable refuses to let them leave. At the same time, after the priest recites his speech, Lasher and Emilith unite on the altar as curtains fall. They're definitely having their wedding night now. Ian grabs Rowan before she can act. Ian moves a blade across the palm of his hand, which doesn't leave a mark. However, we see a bloody slash bloom on Lark's palm as he cries out. Ian reveals Lark is now stitched in. So if she attempts to hurt Ian or the family, she's really harming Lark.